Ah, is that you? Topping all your shots from the fairway?
I get you down.
Doing a little hula hooping. If you want more PARS, right, the swing plane is a circle. Here it is. But it's tilted. There it is. Where players go off is with their 3-wood and driver, they get their circle too tilted, vertical. All right, so this is a vertical circle. This is a flatter circle. Now, why does that matter with the 3-wood? Well, the 3-wood is second in command to the driver. All right, so it wants to be a little bit more around your body versus up and down. All right, you can get away with a little up and down with your shorter clubs, but with the 3-wood, no bueno, you can't. All right, this is a really important point. I'm coming in close because it's super important. These two clubs, driver and 3-wood, do not like steep. They're not pals. All right, so if you really struggle with 3-wood, go ahead and make swings that are more around your body. Then just add your golf posture and you're good to go. All right, so the club is working more behind you versus getting vertical. All right, players just get too vertical and they end up topping it or chunking it. All right, this is important. All right, so here's the swing arc, the bottom of the swing arc. All right, here's the low point. All right, so this is the bottom of the swing arc right here. All right, this low point with the stick. The 3-wood is really the only club in the bag that comes in dead level. So this is 0 degrees on TrackMan. All right, so players that maybe play the ball too far back or too vertical hit back here. All right, so they end up chunking it or topping it because when the club bottoms out and then works its way back up, it tops it. All right, so the 3-wood wants to come in dead level. That's why we sweep it. And that's why we have a flatter swing plane to help us with that sweep motion. So players that get too vertical, they either chunk it because they're coming in super steep, right? Or they hit behind it, and then when the club works back up and hits the ball, it hits the top half of the ball. All right, so it's really important to make sure your ball position is correct because we want to come in and sweep this ball off the turf. That's a really important point. All right, where players also go off is they get too deep in the backswing. So when they take the club back, they're trying to be flatter in a passionate effort, but their arm structure gets too deep. All right, so if I took this hand off, you can see this back elbow is super crunched. All right, we need width. So I really want you to feel like you have long arms. So if I take this club off now, you can see this is not even at 90 degrees. All right, it's okay if we're at 90, but I want you to feel this. What I don't want is you to get so deep behind your torso that the only way back is to get steep. All right, so that's another popular culprit, especially with the woods. All right, because we're trying to make a big backswing, but we're getting too deep. All right, so if you really struggle with your 3-wood, take it with one hand, and I want you to make long swings with your trail arm on the through swing. All right, where players go off as they get steep and they end up getting chicken winging. So I want you to make long swings, swing a little bit out to the right and finish with a long arm. Then take your trail arm and do the same thing. All right, feeling that the shaft is more at this pitch in the backswing versus vertical. All right, you don't want it vertical. You want it laying down a little bit like this so it's flatter and it's easier to swing out to the right. All right, so just training single arms, really feeling the shaft and where it should be versus here is a smart way to practice. All right, then put 2 hands on the club. All right, and you're gonna make sure when you go back that the shaft has this kind of angle, and if I drew a line, it points to the target line. We don't want to stake it like this, where I could literally stake it into the ground. All right, you can also take a shaft. All right, to help you feel the swing plane, so if you're new to this, go ahead and take a shaft and place it at the end of your shaft. So you're kind of extending it and it's gonna be your guide. All right, what you're gonna do is get to the ball here. You're just gonna get into your backswing. Now this shaft at the top of the swing should point just outside the ball target line. All right, where players go off, even during the takeaways, they lift the club straight up like this. And they can literally stake it into the ground. All right, I just broke the shaft. That's how strong I am. All right, so it's really important.
Why don't you get another twirl?
All right, you want the shaft to point just outside the target line. All right, that's the tilted circle. Where players go off as they get too vertical. and this shaft is pointing vertically into the ground. Look at the shaft pointing to the sky. Right? You're not going to be able to hit your 3-wood or driver in this position. So you really need to feel where you need to be. So this is the tilted circle, and this is the vertical circle. All right, we want to be here and not here. All right, once you're on plane, then you can swing out to the right and get to a full finish. All right, if you're vertical, you can't do either one because you're going to come across and into yourself and you won't be able to finish. So the swing plane is paramount. All right, you're really going to make sure you're on plane, a little bit flatter with the 3-wood and the driver.